Well, Super Tuesday is over, and as expected, Joe Biden and Donald Trump are the expected nominees, with Biden pretty much sweeping everything except a territory where he was beat by 11 votes, but territories don't vote in elections anyway. Then, even with Donald Trump asking for, apparently, donations from Elon Musk, if I said that correctly. Donald Trump asking for donations from Elon Musk. Not clear if any have been made yet. And Donald Trump had quite the night. He pretty much swept every single state with the exception of Vermont. Donald Trump even sweeping California in the Republican primary. Vermont going to Nikki Haley. But other than that, Nikki Haley and Joe Biden deciding not to make any comments tonight. Donald Trump did issue a full speech, which I'll be covering as well. Nikki Haley watched from her home in Charleston. Donald Trump had a party in Mar-a-Lago, as well as a cash bar, hors d'oeuvres, and, of course, a Donald Trump speech. Joe Biden is expected to speak next at the United States State of the Union address this Thursday at 6 p.m., which, of course, we will be covering as well. Virginia is the one place Haley was maybe collecting quite a few votes close to D.C., It's worth noting that Haley did win Washington, D.C. Virginia did go to Biden in 2020. The question now is, will Biden flip this? Some interesting notes I wrote down on ehack.com, as I always do, write my summaries down there. CNN conducted an exit poll finding that 81% of people exit polled in North Carolina were voting for Trump versus just 16 for Haley, and Haley even losing amongst independents. This being an indicator that Haley's probably going to have to step out, as she's likely to lose a lot of her fundraising if she tries to stay in. This is clearly going to be a Trump versus Biden rematch. And again, we're going to hit what Trump said in his speech in just a moment. You did have Robinson winning the Republican primary for governor in North Carolina, with Stein winning the Democratic ticket. He would be the first Jewish governor in North Carolina. Again, Vermont went to Haley, the others going to Trump and Biden. In California, California is promoting Proposition 1. It is a statewide proposition. That statewide proposition is expected to support a bond measure that would create a $6.4 billion fund to create 10,000 treatment units in supportive housing. That works out to over $600,000 per unit. If you divide that straight, which seems pretty wild, but then again, I'm a little biased against Gavin Newsom. Right now, you have Adam Schiff polling ahead of Steve Garvey to be the Senate, one of the top Senate nominees. To replace the late Dianne Feinstein, who passed away in September. Keep in mind, Adam Schiff is a Democrat. If a Republican takes that seat, it would shift the balance of power in the Senate, which right now has 51 Democrats. However, since you do have a Democratic vice president, who would be a tiebreaker vote, you'd still be Dem-controlled, unless, of course, this played into a flip in the 2024 election, which it could. Adam Schiff did spend about $11 million of his money and ally money to promote Steve Garvey, a Republican senator, so that way they could basically go out with a 1-2 fight against a Republican. Basically, the top two go up against each other. In this case, it looks like it's going to be Adam Schiff and Steve Garvey. Kind of a weird move, but it does make sure for Adam Schiff that he's not going up against another Democrat, potentially making it easier to beat a Republican in a state like California. That's what's going on, at least with the polling in California. Oh, thank gosh. Okay, good. With only less than 1% of the vote in, you do have a 55% vote no on Proposition number 1 so far. Now it's at 58%. These results just now coming in. I cannot believe, though, and this is why I will not, with my real estate startup, buy real estate in Los Angeles. Sorry, I cannot believe that so far, with 33% of the votes in, people are really seriously re-electing George Gascon. This has to be the weakest person on crime I've ever seen in my life, but whatever. Sorry, the California bias is coming out. Let's continue to be unbiased here. To the extent that is possible, I'll call out my bias when I have it. I'm biased against Newsom. I'm biased against Gaskin. Sorry, I live in California, okay? Now, Dean Phillips, he's a representative out of Minnesota, so he works in the House of Representatives. He's probably going to drop out of the race. He was a contender against Joe Biden, although his name really didn't even come up. He did end up tweeting, "Congratulations to Joe Biden, uncommitted voters, Marianne Williamson, and Nikki Haley for demonstrating more appeal to the Democratic Party loyalists than me." That was a little rough given that Nikki Haley's obviously running as a Republican. You did have Hakeem Jeffries argue that Donald Trump is a danger and that Trump turns back the clock. Donald Trump had $30.4 million in funds available for fundraising as of the beginning of February for campaign finance disclosures, with $130 million in Biden's coffers. Do consider a massive difference here, though, that Donald Trump campaigns by promoting his in-person events. Joe Biden runs advertisements, so there might be a cost differential there where Donald Trump might be able to get more attention for less money compared to maybe more expensive advertising that Joe Biden might have to run. This is a perfect point before I get to the Donald Trump summary to mention that I too will be holding an event in Vegas, June 21st to June 23rd. We're going to have a finance, innovation, and real estate symposium. That's like a conference, an event to teach you about getting inspired for building your wealth with finance, real estate, and innovation. We're going to have a bunch of different speakers. We've got a big speaker announcement coming up on Friday. Prices will be going up for the tickets, so if you want to get into those tickets before the prices go up, go to meetkevin.com and you'll see those there, or click the link down below and you can learn more about the event. Again, that'll be Vegas, June 21st to 23rd. My goal is to make it the most amazing event of the year for YouTube finance and real estate combined, so consider that. Check it out. We'll get to have a great meet and greet as well. It'll be really fun. And get the VIP tickets too. I highly encourage those. More special benefits to that coming out soon. As far as Trump's speech, Trump says his win tonight on Super Tuesday was an inspiration, that the country has taken a beating with Russia attacking Ukraine, Israel, a strong Iran, inflation destroying the middle class, inflation being called a country buster, and that's what's happening. And the only reason the stock market is doing so well because Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden in the polls. This is what Donald Trump kind of started with. And then he argued that Joe Biden is failing the country because 320,000 migrants have been flown in to the country illegally, says Donald Trump. This is a reference to the Custom and Border Patrol's One app, which basically allows asylum seekers to download an app on their phone, seek asylum from outside of the country, and then get flown into the country if their asylum is permitted. And then they're given 2 years to obtain legal status. It is unlikely that those asylum seekers, those 320,000, are actually counted as an encounter, meaning that encounters are probably higher than they're actually being reported. Remember that an encounter, as defined by the U.S. Border Patrol, is a Title VIII apprehension. On Office of Field Operations, Title VIII inadmissible, or a non-citizen process for expulsion under Title 42, although we really haven't been expelling anybody under Title 42 under Biden. Donald Trump argues we're now importing oil from Venezuela, and this is true. OFAC in October lifted sanctions on the Venezuelan energy sector for 6 months starting October 17th. So this is true, allowing heavy and sour crude into the country, especially the Gulf of Mexico, for refinement. So this is true. Comment from Joe Biden. From Donald Trump about what's going on. It does look like Adam Schiff has been declared the victor, by the way, as we were recording this video, of the Senate primary. And, oh no, it looks like the Proposition 1 ballot measure during the recording of this has flipped with 9% of the votes to 51% yes and 49% no. Whew, boy, oh boy. All right. Then Donald Trump continues with his speech saying we're a third world country at the border. He says Election Day will be the single greatest day in our country, that right now the country is being run as a joke. He argues that China was paying billions of dollars to the United States when he was in office. Keep in mind, this is in reference to sanctions and tariffs. Tariffs are, many argue, borne, like the expense of those are borne by citizens. So, if the cost of your goods are going up because of sanctions and tariffs, then is it really that China is paying the billions, or is it individuals? So keep that in mind. Donald Trump says that, and people debate this as well, that he personally defeated ISIS, 100% of ISIS. That's been debated many times. He says COVID came out of the incompetence of the Wuhan lab and caused $60 trillion in death and destruction. He promised the largest tax cuts. He's promising phase 2 of the largest tax cuts. He promises the continuation of the largest regulation cuts. He argues that we had a horrible surrender in Afghanistan. He says we're going to take our country back, make the greatest country or the greatest economy ever again. We're ready to dominate with energy, ready to get the criminals out, and we're going to pay off our debts with, or in spite of the second phase of tax cuts. No mention here of Nikki Haley at all. Do keep in mind that a lot of states did have open primaries allowing non-registered Republicans to potentially vote for Nikki Haley, potentially skewing some of those votes. You have Michelle Obama, who's announced per her office that she is not running for president. There have been a lot of rumors that Michelle Obama was running for president. A lot of those have been put to rest by Michelle Obama's office. And Tim Scott also promoted Donald Trump's next iteration of the tax cuts. There were also polls that indicated Biden's approval ratings were the second worst in the nation since World War II. These are by Gallup polls showing his approval rating at just 39.8%, with Jimmy Carter doing worse. And again, I mentioned that apparently Donald Trump spoke with Elon Musk about funding the Trump campaign. So this gives us a full summary of everything we just had on Super Tuesday. It's a 12-minute summary that took us 4 hours and 42 minutes to complete. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, make sure to subscribe. And we'll see you tomorrow morning for Jerome Powell, who at 7 a.m. will be testifying before Congress.
Just close the fucking door. Close the door.
Thanks so much. We'll see you next one. Goodbye.